All right, getting started today with my sample read of the Adriatic Sea. The Adriatic Sea is a body of water separating the Italian peninsula from the Balkans. The Adriatic is the northernmost arm of the Mediterranean Sea, extending from the Strait of Otranto, where it connects to the Ionian Sea, to the northwest and the Po Valley. The countries with coasts on the Adriatic are Albania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia, Italy, Montenegro, and Slovenia. The Adriatic contains more than 1,300 islands, mostly located along the Croatian part of its eastern coast. It is divided into three basins, the northern being the shallowest and the southern being the deepest, with a maximum depth of 1,200 meters or 4,000 feet. The Otranto Sill, an underwater ridge, is located at the border between the Adriatic and Ionian Seas. The prevailing currents flow counterclockwise from the Strait of Otranto along the eastern coast and back to the strait along the western Italian coast. Tidal movements in the Adriatic are slight, although larger amplitudes are known to occur occasionally. The Adriatic's salinity is lower than the Mediterranean's because the Adriatic collects a third of the fresh water flowing into the Mediterranean, acting as a dilution basin. The surface water temperatures generally range from 30 degrees Celsius or 86 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer to 12 degrees Celsius or 54 degrees Fahrenheit in the winter, significantly moderating the Adriatic basin's climate. The Adriatic Sea sits on the Apulian or Adriatic microplane, which separated from the African plate in the Mesozoic era. The plate's movement contributed to the formation of the surrounding mountain chains and Apennine tectonic uplift after its collision with the Eurasian plate. In the late Oligocene, the Italian peninsula first formed, separating the Adriatic basin from the rest of the Mediterranean. All types of sediment are found in the Adriatic, with the bulk of the material transported by the Po and other rivers on the western coast. The western coast is alluvial or terraced, while the eastern coast is highly indented with pronounced karstification. There are dozens of marine protected areas in the Adriatic designed to protect the sea's karst habitants and biodiversity. The sea is abundant in flora and fauna. More than 7,000 species are identified as native to the Adriatic, many of them endemic, rare, and threatened ones. The Adriatic shores were populated by more than 3.5 million people. The largest cities are Bari, Venice, Trieste, and Split. The earliest settlements on the Adriatic shores were Etruscan, Illyrian, and Greek. By the 2nd century BC, the shores were under Rome's control. In the Middle Ages, the Adriatic shores and the sea itself were controlled to a varying extent by a series of states, most notably the Byzantine Empire, the Croatian Kingdom, the Republic of Venice, the Habsburg monarchy, and the Ottoman Empire. The Napoleonic Wars resulted in the First French Empire gaining coastal control and the British effort to counter the French in the area, ultimately securing most of the eastern Adriatic shore and the Po Valley for Austria. Following Italian unification, the Kingdom of Italy started an eastward expansion that lasted until the 20th century. Following World War I and the collapse of Austria-Hungary and the Ottoman Empire, the entire eastern coast control passed to Yugoslavia and Albania, except for Trieste and the surrounding area, which remained under Italian control. The former disintegrated during the 1990s, resulting in 4 new states on the Adriatic coast. Italy and Yugoslavia agreed on their maritime boundaries by 1975, and this boundary is recognized by Yugoslavia's successor states, but the maritime boundaries between Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Montenegro are still disputed. Italy and Albania agreed on their maritime boundary in 1992. Fisheries and tourism are significant sources of income all along the Adriatic coast. Adriatic Croatia's tourism industry has grown faster economically than the rest of the Adriatic basins. Maritime transport is also a significant branch of the area's economy. There are 19 seaports in the Adriatic that each handle more than 1 million tons of cargo per year. The largest Adriatic seaport by annual cargo turnover is the port of Trieste, while the port of Split is the largest Adriatic Sea port by passengers served per year. The origins of the name Adriatic are linked to the Etruscan settlement of Adria, which probably derives its name from Illyrian Adur, water sea. In classical antiquity, the sea was known as Mare Adriaticum, or Mare Adriaticum, also sometimes simplified to Adria, or less frequently as Mare Superum, the upper sea. The two terms were not synonymous, however. Mare Adriaticum generally corresponds to the Adriatic Sea's extent, spanning from the Gulf of Venice to the Strait of Otranto. That boundary became more consistently defined by Roman authors. Early Greek sources place the boundary between the Adriatic and Ionian Seas at various places ranging from adjacent to the Gulf of Venice to the southern tip of the Peloponnese, eastern shores of Sicily, and western shores of Crete. Mare Superum, on the other hand, normally encompassed both the modern Adriatic Sea and the sea off the Apennine Peninsula's southern coast as far as the Strait of Sicily. Another name used in the period was Mare Dalmaticum, applied to waters off the coast of Dalmatia or excuse me, Illyricum. The names for the sea in languages of surrounding countries include an Albanian, Deti Adriatic, Emilian, Mer Adriatic, Friulian, Mar Adriatic, Greek, Adriatiki, Thalassa, Istro-Romanian, Marea Adriatica, Italian, Mare Adriatico, Serbo-Croatian, Jadransko More, Slovene, Jadransko More, Venetian, Mar Adriatico. In Serbo-Croatian and Slovene, the sea is often referred to simply as Jadran. The Adriatic Sea is a semi-enclosed sea, bordered in the southwest by the Apennine or Italian Peninsula, in the northwest by the Italian regions of Veneto and Friuli Venezia Giulia, and in the northeast by Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro, and Albania, the Balkan Peninsula. In the southeast, the Adriatic Sea connects to the Ionian Sea at the 72-kilometer or 45-mile wide Strait of Otranto. The International Hydrographic Organization, or IHO, defines the boundary between the Adriatic and Ionian Seas as a line running from the Butrinto River's mouth, latitude 39 degrees 44 minutes north, in Albania, to the Karagol Cape in Corfu, through this island to the Kefali Cape. These two capes are in latitude 39 degrees 45 minutes north, and onto the Santa Maria de Luca Cape, latitude 39 degrees 48 minutes north. It extends 800 kilometers, 500 miles, from the northwest to the southeast and is 200 kilometers, 120 miles wide. It covers 138,000 square kilometers or 53,000 square miles and has a volume of 35,000 cubic kilometers or 8,400 cubic miles. The Adriatic extends northwest from 40 degrees to 40 degrees 47 minutes north, representing the Mediterranean's northernmost portion. The sea is geographically divided into the Northern Adriatic, Central or Middle Adriatic, and Southern Adriatic. The Adriatic Sea's drainage basin encompasses 235,000 square kilometers or 91,000 square miles, yielding a land-sea ratio of 1.8. The drainage basin's mean elevation is 782 meters or 2,500 feet above sea level with a mean slope of 12.1 degrees. Major rivers discharging into the Adriatic include the Po, Soka, Gurka, Neretva, Drin, Bojana, and Vjose. In the late 19th century, Austria-Hungary established a geodetic network with an elevation benchmark using the average Adriatic Sea level at the Sartorio Pier in Trieste, Italy. The benchmark was subsequently retained by Austria, adopted by Yugoslavia, and retained by the states that emerged after its dissolution. In 2016, Slovenia adopted a new elevation benchmark referring to the upgraded tide gauge station in the coastal town of Koper. The Alps, which also have a large meteorological impact on the Mediterranean, touch the Adriatic in the area around Trieste towards Dunio and Barcola. Here we see Gipe Canyon in southern Albania, where the Adriatic Sea meets the Ionian Sea. And here we see the Bay of Kodor, a ria in the southern Adriatic. Croatia mainland has 1,700 kilometers of Adriatic coastline, 4,000 kilometers islands, and a total of 5,800. A coastal front, which is the distance between the extreme points of each state's coastline, is 526 kilometers. Italy has 1,200 kilometers on mainland, 23 kilometers of islands, not including islands and coastal lagoons, and 1,272 kilometers in total. The coastal front is 926 kilometers. Albania, 396 kilometers mainland, 10 kilometers islands, 406 kilometers total. Coastal front is 265 kilometers.